morning, good afternoon, good evening. I have some good news today. What we are seeing there on the screen is a posting from, from Nelson Chamisa. Some of you may wonder what is so good about it. It's the usual. It's not. That message, unlike most of his messages in the past, is not punctuated by the usual biblical verse and hashtag God is in it. He even confesses that I'm not a Messiah, I'm only a citizen. That is progress. In a country in which the political leaders have brainwashed their followers into believing that they are demigods who can do no wrong and certainly cannot be held to account. Chamisa has gone one step further. He has claimed to be the anointed one. I know. I've asked the question myself, anointed by who? Proclaimed by who? In his case, he anointed himself and he proclaimed himself to be the anointed one. And for a long time, he has maintained that God was in his various harebrained schemes. So for him to come out now and say he's not the anointed one, he's just merely a mortal, is a very important and very significant step. Now that he is cast away the anointed one cloak behind which he has been hiding, we can finally hold him to account. I think it is important that leaders are accepted as mere mortals and not demigods. I've always said on this platform that democracy works when the people hold their leaders to account. Of course, if a leader claims to be the anointed one, I think very few citizens out there would want to hold such a citizen to account, such a leader to account. Because it would be the equivalent of holding God himself to account. Let's go back to his statement. He says, I'm not a Messiah, Jesus Christ. I'm only a citizen trying to make a difference, just like you. Well, that's a mouthful. Because MDC-CCC were elected by the people for one primary purpose, to implement the democratic reforms to stop ZANU-PF rigging the elections. That was their number one purpose. They acknowledged it themselves because they called their party the Movement for Democratic Change. And they've had change in their slogan for the last 25 years. Now, let's hold him to account. What change has MDC-CCC brought in 25 years, including the 5 years in the GNU of 2008 to 2013, in which he had the golden opportunity to implement the democratic reforms? It's a rhetorical question, because the answer to that one, we all know it. Not even one token reform. ZANU-PF is able to rig elections because MDC-CCC leaders failed to implement even one token reform in 25 years. That is the reality we are dealing with here. Ever since the GNU debacle, the MDC-CCC leaders have participated in flawed elections, which they knew were flawed. And they also knew that by participating, they're only giving ZANU-PF legitimacy and perpetuating the dictatorship. And still they soldiered on out of greed. And what makes it worse, they knew what they were doing. I've often quoted the quotation from David Coulthard's book, in which he makes it clear that the 2013 elections were so flawed, so illegal, the only logical step was to withdraw. But in the book, he also admits that he and his friends did not withdraw because they feared if they did, the other side would participate and win all the votes or the few seats on offer being dangled by ZANU-PF to entice the opposition to participate. In other words, MDC-CCC leaders have been participating in flawed elections out of greed. Now, we've got to go back to what Chamisa himself said in the quotation. I'm only a citizen trying to make a difference, just like you and me. This is an insult. When you fail to implement even one token reform, even when you had the golden chance to do so, what difference were you trying to make? When you were conning people to participate in flawed elections out of greed, what difference were you trying to make? Now that you are a mere mortal, you will realize that you'll be held to account. The truth of the matter is, you are not just an ordinary citizen. You are corrupt, incompetent, and a liar. What you are trying to do now is try to win back the confidence of the people so that you can con them again to participate in 2028 elections to perpetuate this canopy of dictatorship, perpetuate the people's suffering out of greed. That is the truth. Let me rest assure you that now you are no longer the anointed one, but a mere mortal. You will be held to account. If you think you're going to have an easy ride conning people as you've done in the past, think again. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.